Okay, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Happy Tuesday for those that are tuning in live, for those that are with us another time, happy whatever day it is. We've been talking a lot about this idea of be, about our quest to go deeper than just the surface. When we're going through life, I think one of our greatest risks in life is not simply investing money in things that don't make sense. It's not simply investing the resources that we have and not getting a return, wasting our money, or even wasting our time the way we would think it. It's not just that we've wasted hours watching things that are just distracting us. It's so much deeper. One of the greatest risks that we have is when we are dedicating our lives to things, or we're spending our lives pursuing things that are not fully tapping into our real needs, that are not aligned with our be. To get there, we discussed this concept of doing the work. This is hard stuff. This isn't easy, which is why a lot of people don't do it. It's just not easy. It's just not easy. It takes a long time for a person to become sensitive enough to where they're able to understand themselves at a deeper level. But it's the work that we have to be focused on. It's the work that we have to be going through. Well, how do we do it? So we discussed it in a whole bunch of ways. And I want to sort of delve in today and really take it to the next level of what we're talking about. We discussed this concept called ideal day and eulogy, trying to hack the system of our brains. When we try to put ourselves in a situation at the end of our lives, a lot of the stuff that we care about during our lives, our image, it's not possible, it's going to be weird, all that stuff goes away. So if you just write your eulogy, you're sort of hacking a lot of the blocks, a lot of the things that we want to be doing every day, but don't think we can be doing every day. So if you can just put your ideal day together, you can hack it. And then ultimately what you're doing is getting to a place where you're trying to get underneath the surface. But in the process of getting underneath the surface, we're doing this for a specific reason. That's what I want to talk about today. We're doing it because what we're trying to uncover as we go underneath the surface is we're trying to uncover our deepest needs. Every one of us has wants and needs. And if we can't tell the difference, we end up running after the wants because wants feel more urgent. The kid wants the toy. He doesn't need the toy. The student wants an A. The hardest part, I think, about students, to be honest, and for those of us who've gone through educational experiences, especially high-pressured ones, especially when you were younger, and then you look back 10, 20 years later, you almost could laugh at yourself for how seriously you took school, how incredible, how much more important that grade was than it actually was. You have to learn things. There's no question that knowledge is critical, but the grade, it's the hardest thing to digest. And I find it to be the hardest thing to deliver with my children. I'm looking at my kids and I'm like, just study. It doesn't matter. But I can't say that because they won't study, because the grade is the carrot you use for kids, because kids only understand consequence. How many times in life we have wants, but they're not our needs? The difference between what I want and what I need is critical. Remember, needs come from your be. You need to be who you're supposed to be. We want a whole bunch of things that we think are going to get us there. Now, let me just make sure this is clear. Want is like the shell around the bee. We want the thing inside, and we don't know how to get the thing inside. So we assume the way to get the thing inside is to get the shell that everyone else has. For example, a person needs to feel connected to other people. We'll get to that in a second. The need is to be connected. Now, if you're a bar mitzvah boy or a bat mitzvah girl, and the way you felt that level of connectedness, let's say, which is a real need. The way you felt that connectedness is when you hit your milestone, you are surrounded by family and friends. And now you're in the world of where everybody is ultimately in their homes and you're living in the place of a virus. What ends up happening is you look around and now you can't satisfy your needs because the shell of how you do that is through a bar bar mitzvah party. Going to shul and reading, and then ultimately everybody switching to mazel tov, feeling surrounded by the embrace of your family and friends. So now you're not after the party, you're after the feeling of importance, which is significance. You're after the feeling of connectedness, which we're going to get to in a second. These are real legitimate needs that a human being has. A human being wants to feel connected to people. A human being wants to feel significant. There are human needs that we have that a 13 or a 12-year-old kid wants to feel, and the shell that they felt it in was the party and the service. And now the virus hit. What happens? Well, if you're living in the world of wants, now the kid's messed over. If you're living in the world of needs, you sit back and go, okay, you can't deliver the needs through the typical way. How do we redo it? How can we deliver the love in a different way? Could the kid feel it through drive-bys and everybody pass by and say, we love you? Could the kid feel it through Zoom? Could the kid feel it, whatever? Could the parents overemphasize? Can you use a different want, a different shell to deliver the same need? That's the distinction of life. That's how some people are always in the past, some people are always in the future. If we want to get to our B's, which is where we're heading towards, we need to be able to distinguish between wants and needs. What I want is my job, my this, my that, the stuff in my day. But why do I want that for? Because I want that because it's delivering for me an inner need. Fine, I want that, but let me at least discern between the want, money, and the need, feeling of importance. The want to wear nice clothing, the need to get the attention of others to feel significant. The want, food, the need to feel like I could satisfy myself when I want to, independence. When we start to split these hairs, we become more nimble in this world. We don't get thrown by people. This happens a lot when people change careers. People are working in a job for a long time. The industry gets knocked out. The company shuts down. Some people blown away. They never recover. Some people say, wait a second. I know I was a lawyer. I know I was a banker. I know I was a whatever. But what I really loved is helping people and solving problems. Okay, well, I can put my skills in this situation and I'm getting sometimes equally, if not more, satisfied. Happens a lot with empty nesters. Parents that spend their whole lives parenting. Now the kids grow up and they get married. You don't stop being a caregiver. The need to caregive, the need to be connected to others is still there. We just got to change the shell, change the want. Now it's supposed to, I want them in my house. I want to connect to them in other ways. That's how some people adapt and some people never adapt. Some people intuit that behind every want is a need. Some people don't get that. They live in the world of want. And if they don't get their wants, they collapse. If they don't get what they want, they can't see anything but what they want. This conversation is a follow-up to what we've been talking about. For those that are joining us for the first time, thank you. Just go back a few weeks if you want to catch up. If not, you'll follow what we're doing now. It's the idea of finding your B. It's the idea of that ideal day, right? We're like I said yesterday, we're in search of excellence. We're in search of meaning. And the way you search meaning is you use new tools. So if you want to dig a new hole, maybe a shovel will work. If you want to build a home and you need to build a foundation, you need a jackhammer, you need a truck. I don't ask my kids, I don't know the different ones, bulldozers. I don't know what those things are with it like. Not the single thing, I don't know what they are. You know what I'm saying about? Like when the truck comes and like just pummels the ground. The pummeler, I guess. bigger you want to build your foundation, the more tools you need. Well, the tools that we have for wisdom is called distinctions. If you ever studied a page of Talmud, that's all that's going on. That's why some people study Talmud. They're like, what in the world is going on here? Like, what's the difference? Like, there's a rule that you can't eat this thing together. And then the rabbis say, like, well, what if you were on a ship and the ship was going down and the thing, all that you had to eat, can you eat it then? And everyone, the kids are looking and going, like, are you out of your mind? Like, I don't know. Really? And the answer is, no, we don't care about the ship. We're teaching you how to create distinctions. Don't say yes or no. Yes and no, black and white, is for children. Kids have black and white. Adults live in gray. There's no ever yes, there's no ever no. When you hear people saying over an argument in absolutes, you can almost assume they don't know what they're saying. When you hear people say those people are, as soon as people say those people are, create an absolute, you can be sure that they really don't know what those people are. Because people that are living in wisdom understand that there's nuance. There's almost so few hard and fast rules to anything in life. Everything is in the nuance. Everything is distinguishable. Doctor, can I eat this? It depends. Well, yes or no. There is no yes or no. Distinctions are tools. And if we want to build a foundation of our lives, we've got to use them. I said this earlier in the show, right? If you go to California and there's white things falling from the sky, they're like snow. You know why? Because in California, at least in Southern California, they don't even know what that is. They're like, what is this? I've seen this in TV once. You go up to like Alaska and it snows. They know there's 20 types of snow because they need to know that. Because how are they going to function? It snows all the time. You can do this with this snow, and this snow don't go near, and this snow is hard snow and easy snow and soft snow. When you're watching a game, it's just a ball to some people. To other people, it's the complexities of each nuance. Pile driver, thank you, Andy. Of course, Andy knows what it is. Thank you, Andy, the pile driver. The nuances of life. This is the fun part. This is when life becomes not just like something we run through, but becomes something that we can study and analyze together. This is the difference between having conversations that are awesome. I remember one time, like, I was in law school and like you get to like win. They had some kind of like auction for charity. And like one of the prizes is go to dinner with professors, which we thought were cool. But at least my professors, like the guy who won it was like amazed. And he was like sitting around. They go, how was it? He goes, they spent 3 hours arguing over the distinctions of chocolate. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, somebody had chocolate and that was it. The whole conversation was 3 hours on chocolate. I'm thinking that's ridiculous. And how you think about it, it's not ridiculous. They're brilliant people and they love distinguishing things. It's so much more enjoyable to throw a distinction in there. The distinctions of life are needs and wants. When I go do something, I ask myself, do I need this? Do I want this? Is this satisfying my need? Or is this one way in which I am satisfying? There could be 50 other ways. But I got to be open to it, my schema. Now, what is our needs? Okay, we have millions of wants, but what are our needs? So this is research by a man named Edward Deci. Edward Deci was a psychologist in Rochester. He's a professor at the University of Rochester. He was obsessed since he was little. Little, I mean, from the beginning of his career. I don't know how old he was when he started his career. About why people do what they do. Like, you ever wonder, like, you're sitting on a plane, like, why is someone doing a crossword puzzle? Like, what is that going to do for them? They finish it, and then what happens? They put it into their bag? Like, why do people play games? You ever wonder, like, why are my kids playing video games all day? Like, what are they doing? Who cares? You win the board, and it's over. You play again. So he starts getting curious about this. Why do people move to do certain things? And he starts to develop a theory on intrinsic motivation. Now, this theory is now a foundation. A friend of mine who is a professor at a Ivy League school, great guy, and we were talking about this, and he explained to me this theory right now has been expanded on. So this is the beginning of lots and lots and lots of research. But this, in my opinion, is like the fundamental core of it. He started to develop a theory on intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is doing things because you want to do it. If you remember a few shows ago, and Andy probably will remember which one, so he'll post it at some point. This is real Bikias, Andy. We spoke about exotelic, autotelic. Remember we spoke about doing things for the sake itself or for an external reason. So he started to develop a theory as to why do people just do things because they do them. Intrinsically motivated. Intrinsically motivated. Not because you're getting paid, not because you're getting fame. You're doing it because you want to do it. What drives a human being to do that? He teams up with a guy named Richard Ryan, and they develop a theory called the self-determination theory. For those of you, I'm sure you've studied this before. SDT, self-determination theory. There's an author named Daniel Pink wrote a whole book about it. Oh, he's got it, The Art of Flow. Of course he's got it. This is the joy. For those of you with me on Zoom, one of the benefits of Zoom is you get Andy Boltax. Andy Boltax posts every few seconds. He's tracking. I'm sure, and you got to do this for Facebook as well. So they developed this theory together called the self-determination theory. And basically what they say is that every human being has three basic needs. Needs, not wants, needs. If you're satisfying these needs, you're going to do the thing because you want it. If you're doing something that doesn't satisfy at least most of these needs, you're not going to do it unless somebody makes you do it. Makes you could be, I'll give you money. Makes you could be, I'll punish you if you don't. Whatever it is. What are the three needs? So they broke it down to three core needs. Competence or mastery, autonomy, and connectedness. So let's break it down one at a time. And then we'll start to develop this for the next, hopefully, few days, because what we're going to hopefully go to together is realize that these psychological needs are really spiritual needs. But we'll get there. What are the three basic needs? These are psychological nutrients. You have a healthy dose of these three needs, you feel good. If you don't, you don't. You feel empty. The first is competence or mastery. Everybody wants to feel like they're good at something, like they're doing something well, like they're mastering something. Like when they do things, they're not bad at it. Tell a kid you're doing great at tennis and show him how he's doing well, he'll want to play tennis on his own. Tell a kid you're terrible at tennis, even though the father was a tennis pro, the kid's going to drop tennis as soon as he can. Every one of us wants to feel like we're good at something, or we're getting better at something. We're developing a sense of mastery. That's why people love playing video games. Well, I don't have time. It's already 9:18. We're going to probably spend a little bit on video games, because video games, believe it or not, is the most craziest thing in the world, but it proves this theory to the T. That's why people play video games, because you get better. The boards are designed to get you a little bit good at something, and then they make it hard, but not too hard. And to get through the boards, you have to get better. You have to achieve a certain level of mastery. And the hit that you get in your brain for achieving that level of mastery feels amazing. Everyone needs to feel like they're mastering something, like they're competent at something. 2 is connectedness. Everybody needs to be connected to other human beings. We're not meant to live alone. And I don't mean physically alone. I mean spiritually, emotionally alone. We need to connect. We need to be giving. We need to be understood. People don't feel understood. They feel like they're not connected. Connectedness is a basic human need, which is why we like playing games with people. Which is why people will pay hundreds of dollars to go to a stadium to watch a game when it's freezing cold and beer costs $20 when they can watch in their home, because being connected to the crowd and the stands feels so much better than watching it alone. And the last thing, everybody needs to feel autonomous, independent, in control. Your life is being directed by somebody else. You have some measure of control, which is why we do things sometimes. Even some people, unfortunately, hurt themselves when they feel out of control, because at least they control the pain in their own body. That's one of the basic foundations of man's search for meaning. When Viktor Frankl realized in the concentration camps of Nazi Germany, they took everything from him, but they could not control his response to challenge. Only he can control how he responds, and that little bit of control made him human. Competence, mastery, connectedness, and autonomy. Look through your days today. Look at the things you want and see if you can find in everything you want these needs. Because when we start to look at the world from wants to needs, things will make more sense and we'll go deeper to figure out who we want to be. All right, awesome. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have an amazing, amazing day. With God's help, I really hope we get to see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.
That was awesome.